I'd like to talk to you today about theoretical perspectives, and this is our third big show for our first unit in sociology. So sociology is a scientific study of social structure. And a social structure are the pattern ways in which people interact in social relationships. So sociology is scientific and it's focusing on the interaction of people and groups. Sociological theory is systematic, abstract, and general reflection on the workings of the social world. Let me see if I can make that a little more clear. So abstract is existing in thought or as an idea. Let's talk about it this way. There are no facts without theory. I can make that more clear. In European and American societies, it is generally accepted as facts that the world is round and that it orbits the sun. These facts are inseparable from the theories that explain the nature and movement of celestial bodies. The facts like the world is round and it orbits the sun, they don't exist if we don't have the theories about gravity and about how bodies within the universe move and orbit around things of greater mass. There are no facts without theory. The theories are what give the facts order and structure and have them make sense. So there are three major perspectives of sociology. There are three different theories, if you will. All of them are accurate. All of them are also lacking. That you need to really understand sociology, you need to have all three, an understanding of all three to really understand the complexity of society and social interaction. So the three major perspectives in sociology hold different assumptions and ask different kinds of research questions. Let's start with functionalism. The assumptions made by functionalism. The society is relatively stable, and the society tends to seek relative stability, and most aspects of society contribute to the society's well-being and survival. A society rests on the consensus of its members. I want you to pay attention to the words that are highlighted here, the stable and seek and contribute and consensus. It goes to the label of the theory, functionalism. A function is how something works. This is how society works, how it works together. Questions that functionalism asks: what holds society together? What are the major parts? How are the parts held together? And how does each part function to help society work? So if you are a functionalist and you would observe some aspect of society and assume that it must play some role. For example, functionalists explain poverty, the concept of poverty, or let's be more specific, the concept of homelessness. A functionalist will explain homelessness differently than for example, a conflict theorist. But we'll get to that. Conflict theory has different assumptions. A society experiences inconsistency and conflict everywhere. A society is continually subjected to change, and a society involves the constraint and coercion of some members by others. So the focus here, the highlighted words are conflict and change and coercion. And questions that are asked: what forces divide society? How do people with privilege and power protect their position? And how do people without power and privilege challenge the system and seek change? This may sound completely different than functionalism because they are. One assumes stability, or that society seeks stability, and one focuses on the conflict or the change. But the truth is, it does both. Because there is change and yet we seek stability. We seek to have things get back to normal or a new normal. And again, we will explain this and flesh this out as this semester goes on. The last one's a little bit different, symbolic interactionism. Assumptions here are people's interpretation of symbols are based on the meanings they learn from others. People base their interaction on their interpretation of symbols. Symbols permit people to have internal conversations that help them gear their interaction to the behavior they think others expect of them and the behavior they expect of others. So again, where the first two looked at big society-wide theories about change or not change, symbolic interactionism is also society-wide, but it's focused on through the eyes of the individual and the symbols that we are experiencing all the time. Let us take the symbol of kneeling. Now, this has been controversial and a lot in the news over the last few years. Sometimes it's okay to kneel, sometimes it's considered not okay to kneel by some people, and it has different meanings. And it's our interpretation of that symbol, whether we think it's okay or not okay. And these are things that we're going to look at through the eyes of symbolic interactionism this semester. Questions asked in symbolic interactionism: what meanings do people attach to their experiences? How do people shape their own realities? How do behaviors and meanings change from person to person and situation to situation? I want to focus on the second point for just a second. How do people shape their own realities? Because we do. Because our perception is our reality. It has nothing to do with what some people will call facts. It's what we believe to be the case. And we have an enormous capacity, human beings do, to filter and interpret information to suit our particular interpretation of events. We will shape and reform what goes on around us. And this is what we'll look at through the eyes of symbolic interactionism. Those three theories are critical, are foundational to sociology. You're not expected to be an expert in all three, but each unit we'll go through, we will look at different issues and different concepts through each of the three sets of theories that we have for sociology. We will look at, for example, deviance and inappropriate behavior through the eyes of functionalism and conflict and symbolic interactionism. We will look at social stratification, or why there are rich and poor people, through each of the three theories. Each of the three theories explain it a little bit differently, but to truly understand it, you need to have all three.